I am goo.
3, 2, 1. No, wait, before we start, who was the guy who won the $8 yesterday?
Oh, Matt. I'll look up his real name. Hold on, give me 1 second. It's like Matt
Yeah,
something.
I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna look up and see if I can find this lineup because that's actually pretty cool.
It was real. I don't know if he put it. Oh, you could find it. You find it.
Yeah, I'll just look in the game.
His name is. Wait, it's. Oh shit. I don't know his last name. He's that Matty Five Hole guy. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's Matt A. It's Matt Armbrister.
I have absolutely seen his name before. It's pretty cool.
Matty Five. Yeah, no, he's been around. He's played for a while. He just like he just likes the podcast. I think it was just like, yeah, sure, like that sounds interesting because like he definitely, I don't know. I think he has a fair amount of followers. Nah, not really.
Or no. Well, wait, is he Matty Fivehole on Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Armbrister or something.
Yeah, Matt Arm B9.
You could just say whatever his thing is on there. We'll take total credit for his lineup, even though we didn't record.
Oh no. I was just gonna say that was a killer team.
Wait, what?
This team is just liquid fire.
Read it.
Oh my god. He had the Kopitar Brown Iafallo stack, and they each had 2 points. Kopitar and Brown scored and then 2 assists on each of them. And then he had Shen, Schwartz, Tarasenko. He also had Alec Martinez with LA stack. And then he had Ben Hutton, who had 2 assists, including a shorthanded assist. And then he had Pekka Rinne, who had 9 points. So
Pekka. He was the one asking if Pekka was going to play, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, yep, confirm Pekka's in.
Yep. You can take credit for it then.
Yeah.
So we expect the check in the mail.
Yeah, my address is. How much was it again? 15? Was it? 8? Was it 8?
I think it was only 5.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was only 5K. I don't really know where all the money went.
Not to me.
Yeah, there's only 10,000 to the first 4 spots. So I don't know. It was weird, but anyways, all right, we can go now.
Oh, wait, what?
Oh,
what? Oh, okay. I'm gonna record. All right, I'm ready now.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Morningscape podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell to go over the Thursday NHL DFS slate. DJ, how you doing?
Pretty good. I mean, definitely didn't have the best Tuesday in the $8. I had 3 lineups missed cashing by about. I think they were all under 1 point by missing cashing. They were all 34, 34.7, 34.3. So it was not fun to watch all of my lineups slip away as LA started to murder. But LA going off did help one of our fans. So Matt, if you'd like.
Well, I mean, we're definitely not going to take credit for it, but we did notice in the group me, Matt A won't read your last name without your permission, but he actually took down the $8, the big tournament on DraftKings on Tuesday. So if you're in the group me and you didn't see it, be sure to give him a nice little congratulations. Good little payday for someone who I would say is fairly active in the group me. So
he's a newer addition, but he's been very active and helpful.
Wasn't someone just saying that someone in the group me was going to take down a GPP and then it happened that night?
I think I said it the night before, or the night before that. I was like, someone's taking it down. I can just feel it, and it was just a couple nights early. But let's get to the next slate and let's get people taking down GPPs again. Hopefully me or you, mainly me. Definitely me. Not you. But let's get to this slate because there's a lot of daily fantasy goodness going on. And 7 games?
7 games on this Thursday slate. love how DJ you throw back to me the question of like, how you doing? Like talk about your lineup. Don't ask me anything about mine. Like it's fine.
Are you? Nah, I don't care.
It's a one-way street here. It's a one.
Well, how did you do? You had what, 3 tickets or 2 tickets into the big contest?
Oh well, I did not want to talk about that on Monday. I was in New York, so it kind of sucked. Like all day, I was in work meetings and stuff, and we go to dinner, super nice dinner. So I mean, even though I lost $300 in tickets, definitely made more than that in dinner alone, which was crazy. It was delicious. So yeah, Monday I was a big winner despite DFS failures. I don't know. I was just gonna mention I put up 47, almost took down some of the single entry stuff on DK on Tuesday night. So it was kind of an interesting sweat. Luckily, I was asleep before the fest that was LA Anaheim really turned into
just taking me all out of the money. Like I felt confident I was gonna at least make a touch of money, and just kicking me. Like I didn't have that much exposure because being in Tuesday night classes and like having a presentation, I wasn't jamming in all of my lineups. But yeah, it sucked for me, but it really did not suck for Matt A, aka what Matty Feifel on Twitter.
Yeah. So anyways, if you kind of missed that was pretty cool. And yeah, I think now we are ready to move to the Thursday slate. Let me just read off the games real quick, and then we can kind of get into what we're here to do. I'll break down the plays. So on the slate, we have, as my DraftKings page loads because I exited out of it,
Edmonton at New Jersey in the Edmonton just continues to play teams that beat them in trades, and it's really funny to watch. And I'll let you continue from there.
That is true. After that, we have Chicago at Philadelphia, Minnesota at Montreal, Arizona at St. Louis, Detroit at Calgary, Vancouver at Anaheim, and Tampa Bay at LA. Let's see. Not mistaken, both Minnesota and Tampa are on road back-to-backs, so always something to keep in mind. I'm sure you'll see Vegas kind of favor those teams opposing those two squads. So let's just start going game by game, and we will start with the Edmonton Tire Fires going against the suddenly awesome New Jersey Devils. I mean, sheesh. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think my initial thoughts when going into this game is Edmonton is on a long road stand, which I don't want to say has like the biggest effect, especially on a guy like Connor McDavid. But I mean, I just don't really trust this game to produce for a GPP slate. I think the biggest thing is the price increase on some of the players in this game. Taylor Hall's up to 7.3, which just kind of gets him out of the price range of where I'd really want to take him. And Jesper Bratt is up to 5,200. I know you mentioned before the podcast you were like thinking, maybe he'll be in play. Like he had a huge role last game, but at 5,200 for a guy that I don't know if I don't know how good he really is. I mean, he's Sheeran Hall. He's on the power play 1, but I don't know. I just don't think I trust it, especially for a guy that I think could end up getting benched or demoted before the game or during the game. Other than that, Johansson is day to day. I don't know if he'll play or not.
Yeah, so let's see. Sounds like you're cutting in and out, so I'll just pick it up from here. Yeah, Jesper Bratt's been super consistent.
Wait, hello?
Oh, you back?
My power just completely went out for a second there. I don't know where I was still talking. Everything went dark. What is going on? I might. You keep talking.
All right.
I am going to try to figure out, get everything back set up. I mean, most stuff came back on. I don't even know. Where was I when I was talking, though?
You were just cutting in and out for a bit. So you were mentioning Jesper Bratt, and I was just going to kind of pick up where.
Okay, I hope that doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, my power just went out for a second. Anyways, I think I'm back now. It's good to go. So, Matt, continue where you were.
So the really interesting thing about Jesper Bratt is that, I mean, like, yes, his price has gone way up, um, and he's not necessarily like he's not a value that so to speak anymore. But he's playing with Hall and Heischer. He's playing the power play with them, and his minutes have been pretty consistent, up at 17, down at 15 in the blowout loss, and then 19 and 18 the past 4 games. Like, there is a legitimate, I think there's a legitimate argument for both sides of this game. And so looking at a guy like Bratt for super duper, I guess not super duper cheap anymore, but like just a very solid value that I don't think anyone would have expected in, September or early October to be the case. So he's a really interesting play. Like, Taylor Hall is awesome, but I liked him much better when he was 5'8", 5'9", and not 7'3". Yeah,
Yeah.
73
Oh,
Taylor Hall. Like, do you think he's a cash game viable, or what are your thoughts on
no.
Hall?
No, I don't think I can stomach that price. I mean, it's just going to take you out of so many other plays that I think are much stronger. But the point I was making, I think when I started to cut out and/or was already cut out, was that Hansen's only day to day, and if he does come back in, I don't know what that does to the New Jersey lineup. So I am like just going to keep hesitant on Bratt until I see exactly what unfolds. I mean, their lines are not what they normally should be. So I think if he's in the role that he's in now, he's definitely a play, but I'm hesitant to lock him in by any means in any format, but at that price.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And if Johansson should come back, again, it's not official or anything, but he's only 4.5. I mean, geez, he was playing on the first power play in Washington last year. You would have to suspect that they might want to get him involved there, even if he's not on the first line.
That's what I'm saying. He could jump Brett out, which the power play, which would pretty much take him out of play for me.
Yep. I mean, realistically speaking, he could also bump out Jimmy Hayes. So
I don't know. Unknown there kind of just scares me. But then again, like, we don't know yet about. I'm trying to look. Kyle Palmieri could be returning to the lineup at some point too. It says he's likely to return against the Oilers.
Who is that?
So like, there's a Kyle Palmieri. Oh, okay. Now I'm seeing Marcus Johansson likely to go to IR to activate Palmieri. Like, Palmieri is the guy that could play. That's what I was seeing. I was wrong on the guys. I think DraftKings was confusing me because they have Palmieri DL and Johansson day to day, but that's actually should be switched. So Palmieri is probably the guy that comes in and I think takes the spot back from Bratt on that first line.
Okay, yeah, that makes a bit more sense. So
yeah,
certainly.
We talked that through. We got that out there now.
Yeah, we really beat that one to death. But yeah, Palmieri still the same sort of thing. He's only 5,000, and we know Kyle Palmieri is a very, very relevant DFS play. So I think that's a totally fine way to attack this, this game in cash. Now on the Oilers side, the Oilers are doing some wacky stuff. It looks like they should have McDavid with Draisaitl again. I mean, they've just been getting they've honestly just been getting lit up like left and right. So I wouldn't necessarily be surprised to see them switch up lines again. But again, McDavid is an outstanding player, and they did eke out a win last game in overtime. So I would expect that, he's on that first line with Draisaitl, and I think they make for an awesome stack. I mean, as much as we just talked about how we like New Jersey, like, they were playing so up-tempo early on this season, and, honestly, the Oilers have gotten super duper unlucky. Like, even if they are kind of like playing bad against certain teams, like, in general, their play's actually been pretty strong. And so when you're looking at, guys, especially at ownership discounts, if not like actual price discounts, like, obviously you're not going to be paying, bare minimum for McDavid or anything crazy, but I definitely think that people kind of have the assumption that, like, hey, New Jersey's actually kind of good, and hey, when New Jersey's good, they're a lockdown defensive team because, look at the Martin Brodeur years. So that's simply not the case. They're doing it through pace. They're doing it through offense. So New Jersey's certainly susceptible on the back end. And so I really like this game in terms of like a game stack sort of mentality. This is definitely my favorite game on the slate in terms of game stack ability. And so I'm kind of interested in some cheaper options here, to go with McDavid, to go with, I guess Hall and Palmieri kind of average out to be a bit cheaper. Were there any cheaper guys from this game that you were looking at?
I really think it's going to be kind of a wait and see. Drake Caggiula was the guy that I was considering definitely on that first power play unit, but he did get injured in the last game, and I have not seen an update on whether he'll play or not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Not practice today.
He did practice or didn't?
Oh, he did not.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know, but because DraftKings says won't play Thursday against the Rangers.
Well,
that was from today. I don't think they're playing the Rangers. Today. And that's just wrong. So maybe they do have. Maybe if they meant the Devils. I was trying to look through. I didn't see anything confirming or denying, but I think he'll be out. So I'm wondering if someone else will come in to power play one role that wasn't their last game. I mean, it could just be Draisaitl because he wasn't on the first power play last game, which was weird. But if it is a guy like Strome or
yep,
I don't know.
And just a note, Kyler Yamamoto did get sent down to the WHL, so he's not going to be with the team anymore this season, barring crazy circumstances. So definitely don't think that Yamamoto's a deep play here, kind of.
I'm not sure if he's on the slate or not, but yeah. But I mean, I don't think he's. I don't see it at least. But yeah, he won't.
I think.
I think he won't be back until like late in the year when their season ends.
Yeah,
he can come back, right? They can sign him.
Yes. Well, they already do have him signed, but yeah, they can call him up. So
okay, so that won't be for a while. I'm trying to look at. I'll look through if there's anything confirmed, but you can say anything you had on Edmonton before we move on. Yeah, no, confirmed. Caggiula will not play. Slepchev is a maybe.
Okay.
To go with RNH and Lucic. Slepchev was slotted in last game, but then didn't play, and I guess there was some injury that happened in Morning Shade that I didn't know about.
Yeah. Yeah, so what really happened last game was that when Caggiula got hurt, they kind of set it to 3 lines. So you look at a guy like Mark Letestu, and his minutes were cut. They were just cut severely last game, down to 10 minutes. But you look at the game before that, he played 16 minutes, and he's on that power play 1 with McDavid as he's not necessarily like the Ovechkin of their power play, but he plays like a similar role where they're trying to feed him for one-timers like every so often. And so I think for 3.4 at center, he makes for an awesome play and a very convenient stack along with McDavid. Darnell Nurse continues to put up huge floor numbers and just in general a very talented defenseman playing 20-plus minutes a night. And in this sort of pace, I really like him as a cheap play at 3.5. I'm staying away from the New Jersey cheap guys for the most part. Like, I think the value will come in someone like Palmieri if he suits up, given that, like he's coming into a team that's been really hot. And even when they were bad, he was a good fantasy producer who honestly should probably cost more than $5,000 just due to like his last year's performances. So, and this is a much better team playing a much faster pace. So I think he's a really interesting play. Definitely, this is the game of the slate for me, which is why I kind of wanted to take my time on it. So are you ready to move on to Chicago at Philadelphia?
Yeah, no, I think this game, Chicago-Philadelphia, will be the game of the slate for me. I really like it from a lot of perspectives. There's going to be Taves and Kane on a line together, which should be incredibly interesting to see because I don't think we've seen that in a couple of years.
And Sharp. Don't forget about Sharp.
And Sharp. So I was reading Fantasy Labs, first off, Matt, if you'd like to give the shout out again that you've been hired by them and you'll be writing for them, you can. But they've been, I feel like, giving more and more hockey information, writing more and more stuff. And Al Schmidt? Wait, what was it again? Al Fats something. the guy Fantasy Labs. You know his name offhand?
No, I
I
don't.
can load the page back up. All right, but he basically, I will load the page up and get his name. But he did an entire article about like the back-to-back stigma and like using it to your advantage. It's Al Fat's Stats, Jacob Myers, and he did. I mean, a pretty good, especially with how many like accounts he had. I mean, some of the data entry points were like upwards of almost 7,000. So I do trust this, and players on home rested or away rested do perform better on average. It's not significant. It's not like a crazy amount more, but it really does kind of just point to what we had with our last season when we had Michael Blake McCurdy on talking about the back-to-back games and how they can slow pace when both teams are on back-to-backs. So I think both of these teams are coming in. Both of them are coming in with at least 3 or 4 days rest. And I'm just incredibly interested to game stack this one in GPPs. I think there's huge upside. First off, Chicago's defense isn't all that great, or Philadelphia's. They both have been giving up a fair amount of goals, and they both have shown they can score. So there's some decent value in here as well. But let's get into it. I just really like this game from that perspective. But Matt, what are the top plays you think?
Well, for me, top play of the game is Cody Franson. Believe it or not, like this guy is playing a huge role for the Blackhawks now. In addition to playing upwards of 20 minutes a night, he's actually on their power play 1. I mean, this is like not a mistake. Like Cody Franson is a legit play here. I think he's a lock unless we get word that like it's officially changed and he won't be on the power play. But I mean, he's playing alongside Duncan Keith. He's actually playing the power play, the Kane power play, which is what I would assume to be power play 1 over Duncan Keith. So he is a phenomenal play. He was much maligned in Buffalo, and he's kind of been maligned throughout his career just because he's a bit bigger. He's not that fast, but like he actually has solid on ice impacts. Like his Corsi numbers are great. Expected goals numbers are pretty solid too. And so long as he's getting the minutes price, I mean, he's certainly able to put up. Look at last game; he had 6 shots on goal and 4 block shots. Like that's amazing. And obviously, you're not expecting that. The power play 1, like you can expect some decent shot numbers. You can expect some strong point equity. And Philly's definitely a team that I'm not afraid of targeting. So, very, very, very good play in Cody Franson. Who is your kind of top play for this game here?
I mean, I'm totally going with Patrick Kane. The Patrick Kane Franson stack is really the top thing for me. You can mix in Taves with it if you'd like. I don't think Taves is egregiously priced by any means. Like I think he's fine at 6'6". But you're going to get exposure to 2 power plays, which I think we mentioned last time we podcasted, right? That we don't mind that at all. So you could go with like, I don't know. You could even go with like Saad, Kane, Taves, and Franzen and kind of get exposure to like all 4 of the guys. I mean, that's going to be really expensive, but you can do a lot of funky things with that. And that's kind of, I'm more on the Chicago side. I don't really think I'll stray far away from Kane and Franzen. I'm assuming line 2 is Saad, Panic, and Nisimov. Is that sounding right to you?
I don't have him up currently. I was actually looking at Patrick Sharp, but yeah.
Well, Sharp's on the top. I mean, I don't mind throwing in Sharp either. Like Sharp would be a bit cheaper for your. I don't even know how much he is. How much is he? 4,000. Yeah, that's not bad at all either for that guy.
Like okay,
definitely throw him in, and he's power play 2 with Taves. Yeah,
Patrick Sharp is not like he's not washed up. Or sorry, I'm not going to say he's not washed up, but when you look at his iCorsi for 60, like his shot metrics, like the past 2 years now, they've actually been really strong. For fantasy, I'm looking for guys in high event situations with good point equity who are going to shoot the puck, and I think Sharp checks all those boxes. Again, he is 4,000. Like I think he's a fine play as well. And he should play a decent amount of minutes, given that obviously Quenneville respects him. He's not going to sit late in games or anything like that, so long as his line is playing well. And obviously, he's going to put the puck on net whenever he gets a chance. So he's playing with 2 really, really gifted distributors, and I think he's in a very strong spot as well. So
Yeah, I have the Chicago lines up really quick. So it is Sharp, Taves, Kane, Saad, Anisimov, Panic, DeBrincat, Schmaltz, Hartnell, and if you play the line four, I'm not going to say it. You're wrong. And
yeah,
then their power plays were Keith, Seabrook, Sharp, Taves, Panic, Franzen, Saad, DeBrincat, Anisimov, Kane. So I think that correlates exactly with what we were saying.
yep.
Yes.
So Philly side here, are you interested in kind of targeting a Philly team? I mean, last time they played, the Flyers actually got shut out um, by Corey Crawford. So, are you looking to go back here? I know you said you really liked this game.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it at all going back to it. I think the biggest question is like, can you stack this Philly power play one with like other Chicago guys we mentioned and feel good about your lineup because you're gonna have to really dumpster dive. But I don't mind at all going with Voracek and maybe Gostisbehere. Like Gostisbehere is back. He's had a great year before he was injured. He's 5'4". I don't mind that price at all. Like I think he's just a really sharp. Not I can say the word sharp. Like I think he's a great DFS player. He was when he first came into the league, kind of teetered off. He only has 1 goal this year on a lot of shots on net. He has 32 shots on net. So I think he's definitely a guy that could really be like I just feel like he's a guy that could have a goal tomorrow with and like him and Voracek. I like those two. If you can, that's games like I'm gonna have for sure. So
Yeah, I agree. I think those two are the top plays. Like, obviously, you get exposure to that power play. Um, I just think that Drew and Couturier are priced up at the point where you have to be really confident in the Flyers, just full stack this line, just because they do cost a ton, like you were saying. Um, so, yeah, definitely Voracek and Ghost Spirit are very strong plays, though. So let's move on to Minnesota at Montreal. Minnesota just wrapped up a pretty bitter 4-2 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They dominated them, outshot them 36-18 on the game, but obviously the Leafs found a way to get it done. Road back to back. Are you interested in these Montreal guys, including, I don't want to say resurgent, but I mean, Max Pacioretty's been like phenomenal lately. So are you interested in him or any of these other Canadian players?
yeah, no, Jonathan Drouin is 50-50 at best. I'm more leaning towards he won't play tomorrow from what I've read. So I think Philip Deneau definitely is in play, and he's out there with Pacioretty. Both of those guys I think are in play together. That might I wouldn't even say that's barring Drouin being out, but I do think when not it like I guess if Drouin is out, I was gonna say when he's out because I think he will be. Um, Yeah, no, those guys though. Deneau, Pacioretty, Weber's always in play. His price is definitely reflecting how good he's been, but I don't hate that sack at all. Minnesota, I mean, they're just still banged up. They're missing who are they still missing?
Um,
Is Brodin?
Brodin.
Brodin's back? He's
Yeah,
back.
yeah, he's back. Yikes. They're missing
Is this
Parise, obviously.
bad?
Um, Jeez.
They're
Actually,
not
it's actually
missing
tough
anyone
for
on
me.
the point anymore though. They're missing Priest and yeah,
Uh,
why have they been Coyle.
oh, right. Yeah, Charlie Boyle. Okay.
Yeah, okay, whatever. But yeah, those plays I mentioned, I think
Yeah, I mean,
they're in play because Durant's probably gonna be out.
it's yeah, I mean, I think Pacioretty's a tough fade, just given that yes, he's been priced up a little bit from. I mean, like I remember looking at him at 5.6 or whatever it was a couple weeks or maybe a week ago now, and just saying like, look, like he's just way too cheap. Like you might just have to play him. Um, so I don't think that's the case anymore. However, facing a team on a back-to-back and still not, he's simply not up in the range of Kucherov, Tarasenko, despite having like an elite shot rate and obviously very, very strong, like a goal likelihood. So he's easily the top value, I think, in this mid like 6K range. But I also don't think that's like a super hot take here. Um, I think it is worth considering whether you can afford Tarasenko and Pacioretty in your lineup. Like as we mentioned, there's a lot of value in a lot of different spots here. So I think that's sort of something you'll have to deal with yourself. Obviously, St. Louis will get to in the next spot, but yeah, I mean, I think those are the main plays in this game. Shea Weber's just a little bit too expensive. Like looking at him and Pietrangelo, like obviously they deserve these price tags, but I think what we're looking for, especially on defense, is like actual value on the price tags, just because there's so many good defensemen on a nightly basis that I think it's really tough to kind of ride the hot hand, so to speak, just because pricing moves so quickly over on DraftKings. So I don't know. I'm kind of looking at some cheaper defensemen like Jeff Peach, or I mean, Jordy Ben had an explosion game last game. Like, do any of these cheap guys kind of like ring a bell for you, or maybe someone like Lehkonen, who's still a bit cheaper? Obviously, elite, Pacioretty, and Weber.
Yeah, I mean, one guy that I've been really tracking closely is Charles Hudon. He only had 12 minutes last game, but 5 shots on goal. I've been keeping an eye on him because I just feel like he has a really great DFS build, but he hasn't been getting the minutes. I think maybe with this injury, he could get a bump. It did look like in the last game he had some correlation to that second line of Plekanec and Gallagher. Well, I guess that would be like they kind of have like 3 lines that are pretty decent and then one that they don't use. Hudon was on that like 4th line, but he did have the correlation to Plekanec and Gallagher. So I guess there could be potential with Drouin going out that Hudon would move up into one of the spots in the top 3 lines and maybe get around 15 minutes with power play 2 time. That power play 2 being with Petrie, Deneau, Galchenyuk, and Gallagher. So I think there's a chance for a nice cheap stack with Montreal with Hudon and Petrie. Although you are right about Ben. I mean, he had 26 minutes in I think the last 2 games. Jordy Ben? Did I say Jamie? I might have said Jamie. No, I think I said Jordy. But Jordy Ben's floor is absolutely there. Like it does block shots. I mean, it just seems to me like Victor Medi. Is that what we're going with officially?
It might be, yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Victor Medi. I mean, he's just not getting the minutes. I did read a tweet saying that on his first, like he had like 2 shifts in the first period, and he had an assist. It was like a great play and a bunch of great defensive plays, but only getting 8 minutes. I mean, they're just not trusting that guy. So I do think that Petrie and Ben are really in play. I don't mind Weber, like I mentioned. Like I think he has he always has upside. But if you're looking for a floor play, like Petrie and the power play 2, and then Ben's just going to be getting a ton of minutes. So I don't mind either of those to the floor.
Crazy. I mean, just kind of like a real life note for a second. Like Victor Mede, whatever you want to call him, like he crossed the 10-game threshold maybe, I don't know, 8-9 games ago, and he was playing 20 minutes a night. Like he looks like legit next to Shea Weber. His last 5 games, his minutes have gone 16, 15, 10, 10, 8. Like this is not good, and it seems like they may have just wasted a year of this kid's contract. So
are we surprised that Montreal is making a mistake?
No, seeing as they've wasted, I don't know, 6 years of Alex Galchenyuk, I think that's a reasonable. I think that's reasonable to
par for the course.
See. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I kind of feed you up there because I think there's some serious value here on Montreal. And despite kind of the big names being the big names, I think that there's more than enough merit to going with some of the cheaper guys to get your Montreal exposure.
Especially with Minnesota on the back-to-back.
Yeah, and I do want to mention Charles Hudon. So far this season, in just about 200 minutes of time on ice, which certainly isn't nothing. It's not a huge sample, but in 15 games he's played 200 minutes. He has a 20 iCourse per 60, just a kind of refresher. Like historically, looking at past seasons, if you're anywhere in the 18 to 19 range, you are a great shot producer. Anything north of 20, you're like elite. Ovechkin kind of lives in that 24, 25 range. Tarasenko this year is actually up at 28. So, like, that's when you know you're getting the true studs is up at the 20 mark. And so for DFS, I really like Hudon, like you said.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see where he lands in the lineup.
Just to add to the Hudon love, actually Shaw is a 50-50 too. So we're looking at 2 spots on the top 3 lines that could be open. Like Hudon will definitely slide in somewhere if both of those guys are out. So I really think he's a strong, strong play tomorrow.
Yeah, so definitely a place worth noting as you check morning skate lines. I'm probably captain of the Minnesota fan bandwagon. Um, However, Montreal simply hasn't really been playing that poorly. Yet they've kind of been killed by like bad goaltending, and almost I'm almost always willing to ignore goaltending just because it's so unpredictable on a nightly basis. So Minnesota on a back-to-back against what I think is a good team in Montreal, I'm not touching it. However, there is some pretty decent value here. I mean, uh, like you get their top line for less than 5K on average. Even Ryan Suter and Jared Spurgeon, like neither of them break the bank. Obviously, Koivu, Stahl, um, Granlund, Niederreiter, all those guys are very much in play and cheap. I just don't know how you pick between them, and I don't think any of them are strong enough plays to be considered cash viable. So,
True.
my
No, I
official
totally agree.
recommendation. My official recommendation is a fade on them, but obviously those are the names you keep in mind for your own purposes. Are you ready to move to Arizona, St. Louis?
Very ready. Let's just get to it. I mean, I would say Arizona. I think the biggest thing from this game for me is that Arizona has been. I mean, in the last game against Pittsburgh, gave up just a ton of penalty minutes. They are just young and they're going to make mistakes. So I think in this game, if you're going to target anything for St. Louis, you got to be looking at those two power play units. Mainly the first one, which is going to break the bank. So, what do you think about that take?
Um, did you say Vladimir Tarasenko? Because
Yeah,
he is
I mean,
the goat.
yeah. Even at 7-9, like you have to have exposure to this guy. I mean,
Like,
14 shots on goal in the past few games, and he's just in what 5 points?
yep,
Yep,
he is
he's just on
just
fire.
silly. Like, he is legitimately silly. So it looks like he's found a nice little home with Braden Shen and Jaden Schwartz. And I was honestly pretty skeptical of like Shen coming into this season. I don't know if you can consider him a legit like number one center at this point, just because he is playing with, he is playing with Tarasenko, and obviously power play helps that. But he has 18 points in 16 games. Like I don't think if the Flyers knew that's what they were going to get out of Braden Shen on their team, they would have traded him. So definitely really nice to see out of Braden Shen. The Sim seems to really love Shen, and uh, I honestly, he's kind of one of the guys I look at like his like iCourse numbers, and like it makes me think that something even lower than that, like the kind of the underlying expected goals numbers that Doug's obviously programmed the sim to kind of learn and use to like recommend plays basically and train the data that way. They loved Braden Shen. I would be highly surprised if it didn't have him as one of the top center values again on this slate, given that they're going against only the worst team in the NHL in the Arizona Coyotes at home. So I think even at 6.3, he is very much in play, and I think you'll see me with the Shen Tarasenko stack again after it works for me on Tuesday night.
Oh man, I know. I tried to get it in. I had a bunch of Tarasenko, which was why my lineups almost made me proud, but I could not afford both of them. Yeah, no, that's where you want to go. I don't even think there's another like. I don't even know if there's anything worth mentioning. I mean, Pietrangelo with them is like sounds great on paper, but affording it is just
Yeah,
really, really hard. And I think you're going to need to find value at defense to make your lineups
I
work
don't think that's
optimally.
necessary.
Like, yeah, I
Yep.
think we're in agreement there. Like, there's no way to just make it all work with him in your lineup, in my opinion, to get all of the plays you're going to need to win. So I mean, on the Arizona side, like, I'm pretty like I'm not really that interested. Like Clayton Keller's like a really, really good player, and I think like could always be a strong play, but his price has gone way, way, way up. And at that price, like you just go Pacioretty.
Yes, exactly.
So there's really no need
And
for Arizona.
and just goalie takes. I love playing St. Louis goaltending. Like they just do such a good job defensively. They're so sound, and I never really like sometimes when you're watching the games and you see your goalie like you just get so worried because he's flopping around. His defense is just, they're not picking up guys in front of the net. I've never felt that way about watching watching the St. Louis team. So obviously, I think Allen will be super popular, given that he'll be a huge Vegas favorite. But I think overall, like, Allen's actually one of my favorite goalies to play, and that is all the goalie talk we will have on this podcast. But I did want to get that out there because I do think there is some merit to looking at teams that do a good job of like limiting dangerous opportunities, but still allow somewhat in terms of chances.
That's Winnipeg this year.
Yeah, I think that's valid. But St. Louis is kind of one of those teams that I really like looking at, especially, obviously, score effects help that. So moving on, I don't think anyone cheap on St. Louis is really doing it for me. I'll mention Vince Dunn again, just because I like him. But he's not really playing a ton of minutes, and he doesn't really have like any elite correlations or anything like that. So I definitely don't think he's like. I would much rather go with some cheaper Montreal guys if I got that low. So
yeah, no, I agree. It really is a game where I think you just got to go with Shen Tarasenko or try to fit in Schwartz with Tarasenko or maybe with Shen. If you can get all three of them, I mean, go for it. I mean, it's not the worst idea. I mean, they have been. I think they are either tied or just under the Tampa Bay top line for his like most points produced. They're right with them. I just exited out of the page. I was just on it. Hold on, let me get back to it. I'll let you talk, but they are like right there with. Yeah. They're like right there. Tarasenko has 14, Schwartz has 13, and Shen has 12 points. Like that's quite good.
39 points between them.
Oh, yeah, and it was top plus. No, they're the top plus minus line. That's what I saw. Like they're just dominating possession and dominating play. I mean, plus minus isn't the greatest stat, but when your entire line is leading the NHL, like all up there and plus minus, yeah, that was what I was getting to. That was their pluses, where they were 1, 3, and 4 in the NHL and plus minus. And like they're just dominating.
If only I had a musical overlay for DJ's plus minus corner.
That was where I was going with it, even though it doesn't matter that much. I thought that was a different stat, saying that they were like, but yeah, those two. We can move on. I can stop talking. This didn't go well. This segment was poor.
I'm just gonna let you wallow in it. All right.
So while we're at it,
do you want to move us into the next game?
Yeah, I mean, we have Detroit at Calgary. The only thing I've seen completely confirmed is Mrazek will start for Detroit. That is true. I mean, we also last game. Well, I don't know. Was it the last game for Detroit when they dominated Edmonton? Was it their last game now? Or was it those 2 games ago? I think it was 2. Yeah, it was 2 games ago where Abdelkader dominated Ovechkin. So, I mean, I don't want to say there's a ton to that, but is there a chance that Detroit could have a shutdown line that we should worry about in the future? I mean, no. Okay, good. Yeah, it was the Abdelkader, Larkin, Glendening line. I just wondered if you had any any concern that like maybe this line could actually be like something that could shut down top lines. I mean, that is crazy to shut down the McDavid line the way they did. I mean, if you look at the trends from that game that Michael Blake McCurdy posted,
I mean,
that was horrifying to look at on paper.
Yeah,
it's a 1-game sample size, and I get that, but
yes, I'm certainly not worried. What I am worried about here is the prices on these stud Calgary guys. I mean, I'd never really recommend like the Gaudreau Monahan stack, anyways. I find it interesting. It looks like Yager should be like back, and he might even be on the first power play unit. So like he's not playing a ton of minutes. Like last game he played 13 against the Canucks. However, if he gets power play one time, I mean, we know Jaromir Jagr, but 3.6, I think even with like lower minutes, he should be fine. And just another really strong value here on the slate where I think it's very, I think the stars and scrubs strategy could come in handy here. So definitely keep Jagr in mind. I wouldn't expect that he would be a super must play or anything, but definitely a strong play.
Hmm.
And then,
Wait, hold on. Do you know who one of his line mates is tomorrow?
is it Wayne Gretzky?
Nope. It is the player in the NHL who has the most minutes without a point this year.
Uh, Troy Brower? Is he playing?
Nope. I think he has a point, so I don't think he counts. Troy Brower has 2 assists. This guy has 0
Sam
points.
Bennett.
Sam Bennett has 0 points. We're talking about a guy that, like, in his rookie season, people are like, this guy could be really legit. He's not at 3,200, getting 13 minutes of ice time, and has 0 points. Like, I'm not saying, like, play the guy by any means, but, oh, God. Like, I just feel bad for him. I just want to give him a hug. Tell him it's going to be okay. His PDO is, well, I guess he can't really have PDO, but his luck has just been poor.
Yeah.
Not saying he's in play, but I just wanted to bring that point to everyone's attention.
Sure. Appreciate that.
And I'll get to his plus minus next.
Yeah, so, I mean, here, even the 3M line of Tkachuk, Backlund, and Furlik, they're a bit more priced up. Furlik is still super cheap, but for God knows what reason, Sam Bennett seems to kind of be playing footsie with that power play 2 role. And so they're just going back and forth, and there's not really a whole lot of clarity there. So I don't think Furlik is a cash game play. But you'll hear me say it once. You'll probably hear me say it again. This 5-man unit of Backlund, Tkachuk, Furlik, and then Hamilton and Giordano just play together a ton at home. And that's kind of the one place in the league where I look at like the defensive like ice time share with forwards, and they're always kind of one of the highest teams in that respect. So with all that said, Dougie Hamilton is $5,000, and he looks like he is back and back with a vengeance. His last, now his last 5 games, his shots on goal totals: 4 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots, 4 shots, 6 shots last game. He put up a power play goal last time out against the Canucks, and he played 25 minutes. I don't think you can ask for a better spot for a defenseman than at home against the Detroit Red Wings. And Dougie Hamilton has long been one of my favorite DFS defensemen. So I think getting him at this price before he climbs into the mid-5s or even up into the like Pietrangelo range, because remember, Pietrangelo started in the mid-5s this season. So it's not too far-fetched to think that he could get hot and kind of ride that up to daily fantasy irrelevancy, as strange as that may sound. But Dougie Hamilton at 5K, I think, is the top play from this game. And you'll be hard-pressed to find a team of mine without Dougie.
Yeah, no, I think it's Hamilton, and that he's on the second power play with Backlund and Tkachuk. They actually took Furlik off and put Sam Bennett out there. Maybe they're trying to get him going or something with a lucky tap-in goal. But I think the Hamilton, Tkachuk, Backlund stack is really in play tomorrow. And on the Detroit side, I don't know. I'm hard pressed to find Detroit as anything more than like a Mantha one-off for me tomorrow.
Yeah, Martin Frick is down at 3.3 again. The minutes certainly aren't there, but his shot is crazy, and he is actually being used on the power play pretty regularly. So there are crazier things than playing him at 3.3. But obviously we've listed more than a few cheap plays now that I think are also viable. But Frick is a one-off at only 3.3, I think is a reasonable play just because his shot rate is so high and his usage is so concentrated on that power play. So 10 minutes, if 4 of them are on the power play, you're likely getting value from Frick regardless. So
yeah, okay with that. Are we ready to move on to Vancouver, Anaheim, or should I say the Lindholms?
Yeah, these last 2 games actually. Obviously, Anaheim and LA played on Tuesday night. Lindholm played 31 minutes. Drew Doughty played 36 minutes. Absurd.
Those guys need a day off.
Yeah, I certainly would not be surprised there.
They probably won't skate. in practice.
I'll be pretty blunt with you. I don't have much interest in either of these games, in all honesty. Despite the huge concentration of minutes onto those two players, um, like, I, I'm not going to say there's any quote unquote bad plays here, but with Tampa playing on a back to back, there'd be the one team that I'm kind of interested in, but with the back to back, it just really kills I think it kills their sort of like overall expectation. But clearly, we'll see what they do against San Jose tonight, and if that impacts things. So, I guess starting with Vancouver at Anaheim, my hero Brandon Montour has been pulled off of the power play one. I haven't really been playing him much anyways because Getzlaf is out, and I think Getzlaf runs so much of what Anaheim does. And sadly, Ryan Getzlaf is out for 2 months now. He had to get his orbital bone in his cheek like reconstructed or something. Certainly did not seem that major when the injury first occurred. I mean, he got hit by a puck and then came back and played the rest of the first period. So definitely did not expect to lose him for like 8 to 10 weeks, which is just really unfortunate and certainly puts a damper on my Anaheim and Ducks Cup winning bet at what I think plus 1,800 or whatever it was. So that's sad.
Yeah, they need to get healthy, and
yeah,
it's not looking like it's happening anytime soon with Getzlaf going to get surgery and sad stuff there. I mean, their lines are a train wreck. I mean, they just make me sad. And like I look at them and I'm like, Wagner, Grant, Boyle. Wait,
so,
is it Bowl? This is Bowl, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
not
Jared
Boyle.
Yeah.
Boyle plays for Devils. Now I have a new guy. I'm going to mix up names. It's bad. I don't know how I could possibly stomach anyone. They might score goals. Like I'm only looking at Raquel. Like I think Raquel and maybe Lindholm as a stack, but Lindholm just doesn't have that I-Corsi upside, that kind of like DFS relevant type player profile. So it's hard to play him. But then again, you got to be on the ice to score goals, and he will be on the ice for half the game. So it's not the dumbest thing to do, but I don't love it.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the minutes are going to go somewhere with Anaheim, and they're going to go to Raquel and Perry, and they're going to try to get those best guys out there. So I think Raquel is definitely a decent to strong cash play. That'd be the one guy from this game that I'm really considering. Other than that,
yeah.
Well, I mean, there's other guys.
Silfverberg's always a one-off option for me. On the Vancouver side, despite all the injuries, Esser seemed like he was just going to take off after that huge night. And then he got completely held off the board against Detroit. And then he only got 13 minutes against Calgary. I don't know what to make of that because, I mean, they won the game. And it didn't seem like any of his numbers were too out of whack. So hopefully that's just a one-off thing. But on the road, I don't love Besser here. So, hopefully people are still kind of overreacting to a hat trick. But these past 2 games of no shots and only 13 minutes in the last game really kind of rained on my parade, certainly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think on the Vancouver side, it's you think like maybe we could take advantage of some of these Anaheim injuries. I mean, a lot of people are just going to fade Vancouver because Vancouver's not good and Anaheim's good in everyone's perception. But at this point in the year, I don't know. I think Sam Gagner is the one guy on Vancouver that always kind of piques my interest. In last game, we had almost 18 minutes and 5 shots on goal, and one of them found the back of the net. So, yeah, I think both teams, it's really hard to land on a stack, and I probably won't end up stacking either of them in GPPs. And then there's just a couple cash options here or there. I always like Sven Barchi as a one-off type of guy, but he hasn't really had the shot production that I like to see from him. I just know he has a great shot. So
yeah, I mean, playing with Besser kind of like almost negates his like shot floor. Kind of like the Eichel Evander Kane situation in Buffalo. I mean, Eichel's been super low shot rate, looking to pass first all the time, and it's because he plays such a volume shooter in Kane. Per minute, Besser's kind of the same way, which is why I really like him in terms of DFS upside. But when his minutes are insecure, and that just kind of worries me. So,
we will have Ryan Miller in that for Anaheim, in case anyone was wondering about that.
the old, I guess, revenge narrative against his old
it
team.
Could be.
So.
It could be. So yeah, I'll throw that out there. Yeah, this game. Let's just say if you had to rate like all 7 games really quickly, just what would this rate as far as like stackability, like upside, GPP upside?
If Cody Franson weren't in the Chicago Philly game, that would be my least favorite game. But since he's there, I will say that Vancouver Anaheim is my least favorite game. So.
All right. Well, you see, Chicago Philadelphia is like one of my favorites, but what do I know?
Hey, what? I wasn't attacking you. Just we're allowed to have different opinions here.
I don't think we are.
Right. All right.
The Morning Agreement podcast. But let's get to the last game because I feel like we're probably hitting what the 50-minute mark.
It's not good. So let's just keep going. Whoever you think won at this podcast, tweet Matt or DJ, 2 of the Morning Skate podcasts. Anyways,
if you tweet Matt your fake moods. But okay, back to the real. All right, let's go to the game. Drew Doughty, 36 minutes, 5.6. Are you going to consider and/or play him?
No. Okay, I'm not going to say I'm not going to consider him. I think you should reasonably consider him. He's actually been very, very productive DFS player like this season. But I just have so much respect for the Lightning, and we've covered so many really, really strong defensive plays that I just don't think it's necessary to really play Drew Doughty. Like, he's just never a guy that I'm too excited to play. And yeah, I think he's just a relative fade for me, given the other options, cheaper options that we have here.
Yeah, I think this game for me is going to be ignore the Kopitar Brown Iafallo line and ignore the Kucherov Stamkos line and Nemestikov. I feel like they kind of negate each other. Both like Kopitar's line is so good possession wise, and the Kucherov line, I just don't think that's where the scoring is going to come from. And I'm really considering Toffoli Pearson as a stack with Doughty. That's something I'm going to consider. I don't know if I'll end up playing it too much, but that's definitely something in my mind right now.
Yeah. One note.
We can disagree now, so say what you want to say.
All right. Well, one note that I found interesting was I know we noted a little bit ago that Adrian Kempe is centering Pearson and Toffoli. Kempe is now on the power play, which is really nice for his DFS value. They pulled Shore off of that unit and replaced him with Kempe, basically. And so Adrian Kempe, I think, is a strong play at center for only 4.2. He's going to see about 17 minutes and a decent offensive upside player. So I like him, and I think his line is a decent stack as well. Last game, it actually looks like they correlated about the same with Drew Doughty, so it seems like Doughty is the first one over the boards, and then whichever offensive line is ready to go, Kempe line and the Kopitar line is just kind of like their first unit. So definitely worth noting that Kempe, I think, is a very strong value here. And anyone else for you, or should we go to guarantee some goals?
Yeah, probably. I mean, is there anyone else on Tampa Bay? I mean, I guess just one, like we barely touched on Tampa Bay. Just you have anything to add to the Tampa Bay? I mean, they're not, but they are in a back. Yeah, they're playing tonight right now. So it might just be a wait for tomorrow type of thing. If anything changes.
Right. Something could change for sure. LA's just been like incredible, and Quick's been really good. So just not really interested in paying these prices on guys who I don't think are in a very good matchup at all. So let's do maybe 2 line stacks and 2 guaranteed goals.
Okay. I mean, I want to steal St. Louis from you, but I'll save it. So I'm gonna go with Kane Franson. Do I have to pick a third?
No, I mean that's fine.
You could totally go with Taves. You can go with Taves or Sharp. I'd say either of them and feel good about it. So Taves and Franson with either Kane or Sharp or Taves, not with Kane twice. If you could play Kane twice, go for it. Okay.
It's pretty strong. Yeah, I mean, I'll just take it because it's obvious. I think you should absolutely be playing this St. Louis first line of Tarasenko and Shen. Schwartz, if you can afford him, I don't think he's necessary, but obviously an outstanding play, and I prefer him as a stacking partner over Alex Petrangelo. Do you have a second one that you're chomping at the bit to get to?
Do I have one? I mean, I really like Dougie Hamilton, Backlund, Tkachuk, and I really like Hudon, possibly Pacioretty. I mean, we don't know who Hudon might play with, but if it's Hudon, Pacioretty, then those two with a guy like Petrie would be really, really strong, I think. But without knowing for certain who we're like, what's going to look like, I don't think Hudon and Pacioretty will be on the same power play, but if they're on the same 5-on-5 line together, I'm still interested in that. So those I kind of got 3 in there.
All right. And then I really like this Edmonton, New Jersey game. So if Palmieri plays, I think him and Taylor Hall are an outstanding stack. I know I said Taylor Hall is a bit too expensive for me in cash, but in GPPs, I think that Hall and Palmieri average out for a very reasonable salary. And I think they have some massive upside here at home against a really struggling defensively Edmonton team. So, all right, guaranteed goals. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Hudon and Tarasenko, or Hudon and Kane. If you really wanted Tarasenko.
No, I don't have. I wasn't planning on going with either of those guys.
Yeah,
So.
because I'm pretty confident either Shaw or I really think Dren's gonna miss from what I was reading. I mean, there was one article I read that said like there could be a chance he could be out for a little while, and that's pretty problematic. So I think Hudon moves up, and his shot metrics put him in play for me for sure. So Hudon and Tarasenko, or Hudon and Kane, but I'll just put Tarasenko down because it's a gimme.
Okay. Strong. I will go with Pacioretty and Kyle Palmieri.
Ooh. Well, if Kyle Palmieri does not play, do you have someone else in mind, or you're just riding it out?
I'm not gonna look, but let's just go Dougie Hamilton. Exact same price.
Oh.
Do it.
I was gonna say Silverberg's right about there, but you know what? You do you, man.
Yeah. What can I say? All right.
All right.
Anything else you wanted to mention?
We didn't get any reviews. I just looked. So thanks, guys. Doing great. I really want to sing. I've been taking classes, and whatever. I don't care.
All right. So yeah, certainly feel free to leave a review if you'd like to help out the show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter as well at Morningscape Pod. We always are retweeting and just finding valuable nuggets of info for DFS relevance. So definitely check us out on Twitter and check out our website. If you've yet to check it out, morningscapepod.com. We have a set of projections up there that Doug has generated. He's wrote them up a little bit too, so be sure to check out all the different pages of the website. It's really cool what Doug's done. So if you haven't yet, be sure to check that out. And lastly, I'm planning on doing a podcast for the Friday slate. But should you be interested, on Friday I will also be writing at Fantasy Labs. As far as I know, at least for the time being, those articles are free, so they won't be like super in depth. I know, like at Fantasy Insiders, I really went all out and wrote like literally multiple thousands of words. These are probably going to be 800 to 1,000 words, but still sort of analytically driven, like DFS NHL content. So I would appreciate you guys checking that out. Should it be free on Friday? Again, I'll let you know if it's not, but I think it should be. So anyways, that's going to just about do it for us here at the Morningscape Podcast. DJ, any last words of advice?
Cody Franson.
Cody Franson, indeed. All right, so for Doug, for DJ, for myself, have your slate, everyone, and we will see ya.